top stories of the day. Understand the issues that matter. This is Manila Bulletin News on Web. Your quick rundown of top news in the country and around the world. Manila Bulletin, celebrating 120 years of timely stories and timeless truths. Be fully informed. Hi, I'm Barbie Atienza. This is MB Now, and here are your news on web. The national government is close to completing negotiations with at least 4 international companies for the supply of COVID-19 vaccines, the earliest of which could be inked by the end of this month. National Task Force, or NTF, against COVID-19 Chief Implementer Secretary Carlito Galvez said the government is in talks with British vaccine maker as AstraZeneca, China's Sinovac, and the tandem of US-based biotechnology companies Pfizer and Germany-based BioNTech. According to Galvez, the vaccine deal with AstraZeneca is the closest to completion. He said an advance commitment could be made by November 30 for the supply of 20 million doses of their product. Once AstraZeneca's vaccine becomes available in the market, the delivery of the country's supply is set to commence in the second quarter of 2021. On the other hand, the negotiation with China's Sinovac is being expedited through the intervention of the Federation of Filipino-Chinese Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Incorporated. Galvez said the deal could be achieved through a government-to-government financing. Meanwhile, the deal with Pfizer and BioNTech is also ongoing, with local officials in talks with the country representatives of the 2 international companies. Currently, the government's vaccine expert panel is analyzing 17 potential vaccines, of which 9 were already in the phase 3 trial. Of the 9 vaccines that are in the advanced stages of trial, 5 are expected to conduct clinical trials here in the Philippines. These are Sinovac, AstraZeneca, Johnson & Johnson's Hansen, Russia-based Gamaleya, and China's CanSino.
Ito po, maganda po itong naging development, Mr. President, when you approve the procedures and strategies na magkaroon po tayong tinatagwag na advanced market commitment. Sa ngayon po, pwede na po tayong nagne-negotiate na po tayo sa 4 na malalaking kumpanya. Kasama na po ang Sinovac from China, ang ating yung AstraZeneca at saka po yung Pfizer. Sa AstraZeneca po, pwede na po tayong magkaroon ng tinatawag na advance commitment by November. Mayroon po tayong tinatawag na negotiation at ang kanilang quota po malaki po na 20 million doses. At nakita natin ang AstraZeneca po maganda po dahil kasi non-profit po ang sa kanya at saka pinakamababa po yung kanyang presyo.
An additional 1.5 billion pesos will be released to concerned local government units to support their rehabilitation recovery following the recent devastation caused by Typhoon Ulysses. President Duterte has approved the fund release to augment the local calamity funds following a report made by Budget Secretary Reid during a meeting in Davao City Monday night. The President immediately agreed to sign the fund request for the typhoon-hit local government units. With the President's approval, Avisado said the Bureau of Treasury could release the funds to the concerned local government units on Tuesday. The budget chief noted that the government previously released 1.5 billion pesos to the LGUs in Calabarzon, Mimaropa, and Bicol region after the destruction left by typhoons Quinta and Rolly. He said they have set aside a buffer of 500 million pesos to assist 10 other affected local government units. The President reminded Avisado to ready the financial support for LGUs amid reports of another approaching storm in the country. The Philippine Overseas Employment Administration will resume the processing of applications of foreign governments of job orders for healthcare workers in the Philippines. But despite the resumption of the processing of applications, there will be a ceiling of not more than 5,000 in a year. Our correspondent, Merlina Hernando Malipot, has the details.
The Philippine Overseas Employment Administration, or POEA, on Tuesday confirmed that the processing of applications of foreign governments of job orders for healthcare workers, or HCWs, in the Philippines will now resume following the lifting of the deployment ban. During the Laging Handa public briefing, POEA Administrator Bernard Olalia said that during the previous months, there was a temporary suspension of deployment of HCWs, including nurses, due to the COVID-19 pandemic. As announced by the Department of Labor and Employment, Olalia confirmed that the temporary suspension has been lifted, but there will be a ceiling of not more than 5,000 in a year.
Na meron pa pong pandemic at kinakailangan i-address po natin yung ating healthcare system at hindi po natin papayagan na magkaroon po ng problema dito po sa sariling bansa natin pagdating po sa pandemya. Kaya kinakailangan balansehin po natin yung interest, no? Yung national interest natin to address the COVID-19 because there is still a national health emergency at titignan din po natin yung opportunity na ibinibigay natin sa ating mga minamahal na mga OFWs, lalong-lalo na sa HCWs, na mabigyan sila ng opportunity to work abroad.
Olalia said that the POEA has also started accepting applications from foreign employers who want to hire Filipino HCWs following the lifting of the deployment ban. Olalia added that the POEA has also started receiving applications for additional job orders of accredited foreign employers.
Tumatanggap na rin po tayo ng application para po doon sa additional job orders ng mga accredited foreign employers po natin. Ito po kasing dalawang proseso na ito, itinigil po natin ito noong po nagkaroon ng temporary suspension. At tayo rin po sa POA ay tumatanggap na po ngayon ng pagproseso ng mga direct hires, agency hires, at yung tinatawag po natin na government-to-government deployment po natin.
While POEA has lifted the deployment of Filipino HCWs, Olalia said that the Philippine government will not allow problems to arise when it comes to our own healthcare system, especially in fighting the COVID-19 pandemic. For MB Now, this is Merlina Hernando Malipot reporting.
President Rodrigo Duterte is asking human rights groups to avoid tinkering with the country's drug problem and threatening the government with investigation and imprisonment over its anti-drug operations. The president said rights groups could instead help convince drug offenders to stop using the illegal substance for their own health, or they could look for another advocacy. Duterte admitted that the illegal drug trade remains a problem in the country, citing the involvement of foreign drug cartels. Around 200 to 300 drug suspects are arrested daily, which Duterte claimed showed how pernicious the problem is in the country. Duterte said the narcotics trade remained a worldwide business, adding the Sinaloa cartel and Bamboo Triad are the country's enemies. He claimed that these drug syndicates have established factories for illegal drugs in different places. The president also reminded the military and the police to follow the law while performing their duties. He said the only time they are allowed to kill is when your life is in danger.
Itong droga, anak ng witing. There are about, kaya man kayong mga human rights, magtulong talaga kayo. There are about, if you see the briefer, the persons arrested for the day, hindi magkulang sa 200, 300. That is how pernicious drug is in the Philippines. Ang problema natin, ang kalaban natin dito is the Sinaloa and the Tumbambo Triad. Yan ang problema natin. It's so organized na talagang may mga factory na sila kung saan, and it's a worldwide business.
In Metro News, Pasig LGU to set up one-stop shop for business permits, licenses at Ayala malls this 30th. Manila government to revoke licenses of funeral homes, establishments violating public drinking ordinance. And LED lights brighten up San Juan City's streets. More from this report.
The Pasig City government will establish a business one-stop shop office at the mall located near the city's business district to reduce the number of people applying for renewing permits and licenses at the City Hall. Mayor Vico Soto said the boss office will be located at Ayala at the 30th in Barangay Ugong, and it is targeted to be finished ahead of the renewal season of business permits and licenses in January next year. Soto said that by having a boss office away from the city government offices would decrease the number of people at the City Hall amid the ongoing threat of the pandemic, and ensure that physical distancing will be maintained. Manila Mayor Francisco Isko Moreno Dumagoso warned that he will revoke the licenses of funeral homes and other establishments that will violate the city's ordinance on public drinking. According to City Ordinance number 5555, drinking is not allowed in the city streets and all establishments aside from restaurants, pansitirias, carinderias, hotels, and bars. Dumagoso said he ordered Bureau of Permits and Manila Police District Office to make rounds in the city to ensure the establishment's compliance to the city ordinance. More than 1,000 new light-emitting diode or LED street lights were installed along the main and inner roads in San Juan City in a bid to ensure the safety of the public, especially at night. Mayor Francisco Zamora said that 90% of all the street lights owned by the city government have already been replaced with LED street lights. With the new sets of street lights, the mayor estimated the local government will save about 1.5 million pesos on its monthly electricity bill. The local government targets to complete the installation of the new street lights along primary roads by this year.
Here are the top news in other parts of the country. Baguio City sets another round of registration for RFID stickers. 13.6 million pesos worth of shabu seized in Bacolod. And implementation of Safe Davao QR postponed anew. More from this report.
Baguio City Mayor Benjamin Magalong announced that the city will hold another round of RFID auto-sweep stickering activity, possibly at the Lawakan Airport area on the first week of December, and this time it will last for 5 days. The initial 2-day staging held last November 16 to 17 catered to a limited number of vehicles and caused some traffic and organizational concerns. This prompted Magalong to issue an apology to commuters for the inconvenience brought about by the activity. For the next round of stickering activity, Magalong have secured approval to use the Lawakan Airport as the main activity site to avoid inconvenience to the public. Magalong is also in talks with the Northern Luzon Expressway Corporation for the Easy Trip stickering, which was originally scheduled last week. Efforts are also underway to synchronize schedules of the Autosweep and Easy Trip teams. About 2 kilograms of shabu worth 13.6 million pesos were seized in a buy-bust operation in Barangay Singkang Airport in Bacolod City on Monday night. Authorities conducted the operation after they received a report regarding the alleged shipment of the contraband from Luzon to Bacolod. The contraband was placed inside boxes of milk and cereals and was shipped through a courier firm. Authorities recovered from the suspects the 1,000 pesos marked money, 14,000 pesos budol money, and 29,000 pesos in cash. The city government of Davao has postponed anew the mandatory enforcement of the Safe Davao QR or DQR on Monday. In an interview, Mayor Sara Duterte said that several offices and businesses establishments in the city have yet to get their scanners for the DQR system ready. It also remained unclear when the system could finally be enforced after Duterte also said that the service provider was still trying to get approval from companies like US-based tech giant Apple for the use of their manufactured gadgets. This was the second time that the mandatory enforcement of the DQR was postponed since its original launch date of October 31.
In world news, Biden to get his delayed presidential transition aid according to Trump. Curtailed Christmas could be safest bet according to the World Health Organization. SandArt warns that thousands of children are at risk of dying indirectly from COVID-19. Let's watch this report.
President Donald Trump said Monday he no longer opposes government aid for Joe Biden's transition team in his closest statement yet to finally conceding he lost the U.S. election. Trump's tweet that the General Services Administration should do what needs to be done came after the agency's head, Emily Murphy, said she was releasing the long-delayed assistance. Trump has spent the last 3 weeks since the November 3 election claiming without any evidence that Biden's convincing victory was the result of fraud. Biden's team welcomed the decision, saying in a statement it will provide the incoming administration with the resources and support necessary to carry out a smooth and peaceful transfer of power. The World Health Organization said that avoiding family gatherings would be the safest bet over Christmas, insisting there is no zero-risk option for traditional holiday merrymaking during the coronavirus pandemic. WHO officials said it was down to the governments to weigh up the economic and social benefits of loosening pandemic restrictions over the festive period, while individuals would have to decide whether they might be putting more vulnerable relatives at risk. Europe and the Americas are battling rising coronavirus caseloads that are pushing health system to the brink, forcing governments to issue stay-at-home orders and close businesses heading into the crucial Christmas period. An 11,000 square meter art installation created by the artist Sand in Your Eye on the Hill by Hebden Bridge in northwest England. It shows a child's face made out of sand. The work, supported by UNICEF and entitled 6,000 Children, aims to raise awareness about the situation of over 6,000 children who are at risk of dying from indirect causes of the COVID-19 pandemic.
In entertainment, 5 Filipino celebrities will compete in the League of Legends Wild Rift Regional Open Beta Pentaboom Showdown in Singapore on December 12 to 13. Playing for the Philippine team are Alodia and Ashley Gosiemfiao, Dexy Diaz, James Reid, and Megan Young. Together with official event organizer IOE Sports, the League of Legends Wild Rift Southeast Asia Pentaboom Showdown will feature 8 teams, including 5 well-known artists and personalities from Cambodia, Indonesia, the Philippines, Malaysia, Myanmar, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam. League of Legends Wild Rift Regional Open Beta Pentaboom Showdown is a charity show match for the benefit of various organizations in the region that provide better education and living circumstances to underprivileged children. In sports, world number 1 James De Los Santos captured his 23rd gold medal with a win against Alfredo Bustamante in the Golden League Karate E-Tournament after results were posted Tuesday. It was the 4th gold for the 30-year-old De Los Santos for this month, which solidified his grip for the top spot in the ranking for E-Kata Male Seniors category of the World Karate Federation. Though he was under the weather, De Los Santos said he was able to perform well when he submitted the video Monday. De Los Santos assured everyone that it wasn't COVID-19. And those are the news on Web today, November 24, 2020. It's 31 days before Christmas. For more news and details, get your copy of Manila Bulletin newspaper tomorrow or log on to www.mb.com.ph, or you may also subscribe to our newsletter through the link on this video's caption to have the day's latest news delivered to your inbox. I am Barbie Atienza for Manila Bulletin, celebrating 120 years of timely stories and timeless truths. Join us again tomorrow. This has been MB Now. Be fully informed.